Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's season 12, episode 9, and today we take a break from a very tense running in Serie A to focus on an opportunity to win our first trophy in Italy, this time in the Italian Cup final. It's first place Napoli against third place Lazio. We had a dress rehearsal a couple of games ago in the league, and if that's anything to go by, we're going to be having a very disappointing day today. But let's have a look at the schedule in the meantime to see what's been happening since you were last with me. The title race has been completely topsy-turvy. It's all gone pear-shaped for us. It's all gone pear-shaped for Inter at different times in the last 6 games. So you can see after that disappointing defeat against Inter, where we were absolutely brilliant, we went back to a decent run of form. A 3-0 win at home to Lecce. That one was comfortable against the bottom side in the league. Then a 3-1 win away at Benevento. Gerardo getting a brace, including a last-minute goal. A 0-0 draw away at Juventus. A pretty decent result in truth, and then a 4-0 win away at Pescara as we continued our brilliant defensive form, only conceding 2 goals in the month. Gomez and Gaucho with a brace apiece as all our goals came from midfield in that one, but then it all went wrong when we had the dress rehearsal for this final. A 2-0 defeat against Lazio, and that combined with the 0-0 draw at Juventus put Inter top of the league as they played their next game before we played Bologna, and having played 1 game more, they were on level terms with us. A better goal difference for them, and we were starting to get a little bit panicky. It didn't help against Bologna that we were awful in the first half, but in the second period Marighi came off the bench and the 19-year-old fired us to success. He was absolutely sensational and didn't show any of the nerves that many of his more experienced colleagues did. So he got 2 goals for us in that one, and we got back to winning ways with a comfortable victory. Cortinova's another one of the subs got a goal, and we went back to the top of the league, which was followed by some even better news afterwards. So if we go and have a look at the competition in general, we beat Bologna 3-0 on the 11th of May, and then since then we've had a fantastic turnaround of events. If we go back to the previous days, yesterday night before this cup final, Inter played at home against the same opposition, Bologna, down in 7th place in the league, and they lost 1-0, which shows just how well we've done there. So now with a game in hand, we've got a 3-point lead, and with just 4 games to go, we've got the fortunate position where although we're playing some of the better sides in the league, we've got 4 home league games in succession. Bologna was the first of those, then high-flying Atalanta and Milan, before lowly Frosinone, who may well be relegated by that point, before we travel to mid-table Empoli on the last day of the season. Hopefully everything will be wrapped up by then. But this is the day that's really important to us. I think we believe we're going to win the league now. We only really need 6 more points from our last 4 games, or 7 if you take into account the goal difference, but we're banking on Inter to drop at least 1 more point. So the real success for us is, can we win the double, and can we avenge the defeat from Lazio, who really outplayed us in that last game in the league? They've got a couple of players unavailable today. We're missing a key one in attacking midfield as well. Diogo Brass, our right winger, has sprained ankle ligaments and he's nowhere near fit enough to be in the team. So unfortunately we're playing with Proya today, though Marighi may come off the bench as he's already proven he's a big game player. Giuseppe Pizzella's the left back out for them. He's a fantastic player in real life and he's now 32 years of age for Lazio, has been an average player for them this year, so he's not a big miss for them as he hasn't played that much football. They've got a suspension as well, Renato Diogo. Let's go and have a look at him. 12 appearances in the league, so again perhaps not first choice. A decent player overall and has one hell of a scout summary, so I'm not quite sure why he doesn't look better than that, as to me he doesn't look world class there, and he's never played for Portugal either, which doesn't really match that 86 rating. But let's go and get into the game. We know what Lazio are going to provide as we played them just a week ago. We got absolutely battered on that occasion and the lads need to respond today. If you want to have a quick look at the dynamics first, you can see that everything's still very good, so there shouldn't be any problems mentally. It's just whether the nerves of the final get to them. I'm not sure when Napoli last won competitions. It's the sort of thing we neglected to look at when we joined the club. We saw they were runners up in the league last year, but we don't know what competitions they've been winning. So they won the league 7 years ago. 2023 was their last success in that one. It's their only success since 1990. They've had nothing in Europe, just a runners-up place in the Europa League. That one was 5 years ago. In the Italian Cup, they won the first season of this career, 2019, while we were getting sacked by Hemel Hempstead and then managing Dungannon in the Northern Irish Cup. but they were runners-up just 2 years ago, so hopefully we can go one better today. We're not going to worry about the Super Cup, as if we win these two competitions, or at least the league title, we're not going to be here to manage that next season, so we're not going to be able to win that one. But let's go to the match preview and see who's favourite. There's some league games going on as well, but unless it's Inter, it doesn't really affect us. And let's see who the favourites are. Us, but only just. It's a very close one to call, and the media are struggling as well. Lazio have won just under half of the meetings between the two sides, so Napoli have got the slightly better record, but again it is very tight, and this game's going to be very close to call. Lazio were in excellent form. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, though they were held to a draw by Udinese at the weekend, while we were getting back to winning ways against Bologna. The only game we've lost in that period is unfortunately against Lazio. We've got a referee, interestingly, who's not managed a game this season. That seems a little bit strange. Andrea Sanna, not refereed any games and then turns up for the cup final. That's got to be some sort of glitch or mistake. I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. Hopefully the occasion won't get to him. We've not even got a sellout in Rome. Again, that seems a little bit peculiar, particularly with Lazio from the capital. Their manager's Darko Milanic, a well-known name in real life, 62 years old now, the Slovenian. He was at Maribor at the start of the series, had a very brief spell at Leeds, some British fans may remember that, when they were going through the likes of Dave Hockaday and a few of the others too. Partizan Belgrade's been out for 7 years in this series, and now he's come to Lazio for 2 years. He's got very good attributes across the board, and he looks like he's an excellent coach. So we wish him nothing but the best, aside from in today's game. Let's go and have a look at our lineup, which I'm sure won't surprise you too much. We did mention we've got the one injury to Brass on the right wing, not really fit enough for a place on the bench either, and with a crucial run into the league, which is still our priority for the season, we've got to make sure that we don't get him a further knock, which will leave him out of the crucial games in that one. So although this is a massive game for us, and a good chance to win silverware, it is still our second priority, and we have to remember that. We've got Leonardo in goal, Chan and Vernier are the fullbacks, Diogo Late's back at centre-half alongside Ruben Diaz, La Rocca and Gomez in the holding role with Thiago Gaucho in central midfield, and then Proyer in on the right wing with Sarr and Gerardo up as normal. So it is the exact starting 11 you'd accept, with the exception of Diogo Brass. That one's in force, but the rest of the team's there, and hopefully they'll put on a big display today. The one bit of good news on the bench, Saavedra, the club captain, isn't unhappy anymore. We rejected a bid from City in January, our director of football didn't accept 32.5 million, and now he's happy enough to get on with the job, so that may bode well for us in this run-in, particularly if we need him in the second half today. But let's go and get into the game. Plenty of experience in the team as well as on the bench, and hopefully that'll play a crucial role today as we try to beat Lazio in the cup final. Can we get the job done? Let's go and find out. Plenty of players we recognise in the Lazio lineup. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. They've got Sola in the holding role in midfield, a Valencia in real life, and then they've got Dani Olmo, who I think is at Dinamo Zagreb in real life, and he's had one hell of a career in this game, played for massive sides across the board, both of the big clubs in Rome, Roma and Lazio now, Valencia and Barcelona, Real Sociedad as well, and then yes, he was at Dinamo before that, so he's played for plenty of big clubs. Let's go and see who else is about. There's a few other real players, but I don't recognise many of them in fairness. And in lots of high quality regens, the striker Italo, a bit of a weird mix of attributes, a brilliant advance forward but not much pace, although he put us to the sword in the last game. He's one of the top scorers in the division, the 21-year-old Brazilian. He's got a great personality and he's still a youngster. I think he's going to be a world superstar. And I've just looked at the bench. We found a familiar name, everyone. We've got a bit of a reunion. Apologies if you noticed it before me. Niall Goodwin's on the bench for Lazio. The hero we had at Barnsley came through the youth ranks and was key to taking them to the top of the league while we were in charge in that season. We obviously got a big move to Newcastle before the season was out, but what a lovely reunion that is. One of my favourite players from the series so far. Niall Goodwin's an absolute legend. He's been at Lazio 2.5 years now, made 62 appearances as a rotational option, many of those off the bench like this year, but 200 appearances for Barnsley, and I didn't expect to get a reunion in this final. So that's a nice little touch on it. Let's go and talk to the lads. Zolo wants us to tell them to pick up where they left off, so we're going to go and do exactly that. He's not been wrong too often this year, and he says if we play like we did last time round, we'll get our hands on a trophy. So let's hold him to that. The defensive players, with all the experience in the world, they seem to be relatively motivated, and in attack where we're a little bit less experienced, with Gerardo and Proyer, they're just listening keenly and getting on with things. We've got a tunnel interview as we'd expect for the final. They're missing their world-class attacking midfielder, but I'm sure they've got able deputies if Noel Goodwin can only reach the bench. We've taken the kick-off and LaRocca's got it wide, Proyer charging down the right-hand side. He's got a chance to cross but it's blocked and it's balled away by Lazio. An end-to-end start to the game, Italo now in on the left. A brilliant tackle by the defender, and Leonardo gets it after LaRocca mops up at the back. He switched to the left-hand side for Ismail Assar, and that was a very long first highlight, but no shots to come from it. 5 minutes gone, we've got a free kick on the right. Thiago Gaucho delivers. Ismail Assar with a header which is blocked. The rebound's volleyed in. Fantastic start for Napoli. The commentary says it all. We lead after 5 minutes of the Italian Cup final, and this is the one we really want to win. Brilliant from the experienced pro. He scored plenty of goals for us this year off the left, and that one was a real poacher's instinctive finish. It's Lazio coming forward now though. We've got to be careful on the edge of the box. They try to deliver from the left, and it's away to LaRocca on the right wing. Now we can counter-attack at speed as Proyer cuts inside. He's got 2 men up with him if he can find them, but in the end goes back to Chan at right back. He delivers, but the header's away is poor. Gaucho goes for the shot from the edge, but it's easily held by Battalla. A good save from the Lazio keeper down to his left. 15 minutes gone, we lead 1-0 and are dominating. Half an hour gone, it's been a very quiet 15 minutes. Vernier throws it in on the left-hand side and Sarr flicks it on to Gerardo. We look really threatening on the counter-attack. Gerardo beating a couple of challenges. He cuts it back to Claudio Gomez, rattles the crossbar on its way over. So unfortunate from the midfielder. A brilliant effort from him. 10 minutes to the break and we're not seeing much of Lazio, though I'm sure there's time for them to change that. But again we're back as we come forward. Gaucho putting it into Proyer on the right, and he skied a really good opportunity. Are we going to rue these missed chances? 5 minutes to the break, the lead's still just 1, but it's been all Napoli in this first half. Are the lads all turning up for the big game? That bodes well for this title running. Proyer gets it on the right hand side again, beats the sliding challenge and another. Brilliant play from Proyer. The keeper saves the first effort, the rebound's put in, and the man that we didn't want to be starting this game, he's only in because of an injury, has single-handedly wrapped up this match. That is a wonderful individual goal. He beats sliding challenges and standing challenges, and in the keeper on the second attempt. A fantastic goal and a fantastic first half. Napoli leading 2-0 at the break. Could we be on for the domestic double? I'm certainly getting very excited now. We're going to tell the lads to go out and prove a point, keep the motivation levels high. Diogo Late, the team leader, responds well, and that's something that's crucially important. Zolo getting his recommendations right again, and hopefully in the second half the lads will play just as well. It's Lazio with a kick-off with Italo. Back to central midfielder now Sola. He goes back to the centre half and it's wide to the right hand side. Beccattini charging at the defence and he gets it inside to Italo, but it's a misplaced pass and the winger's tracking back. Proyer wins the ball in a deep area. LaRocca intercepts the ball at the start of this highlight. He finds Gomez and now LaRocca again. Ruben Diaz as we continue our low tempo, composed play at the back, and he finally gets it wide to Proyer. Now Gerardo running at the defence, beats 2 or 3 and shoots from the edge, but Battalla gets down to his right hand side and holds a pretty tame effort. It's been a brilliant performance so far from these lads, and with 10 gone in the second half, we still lead 2-0. Just over an hour gone and I just spotted another reunion on the bench. It's Thiago Gaucho with a free kick. It rattles the crossbar, bobbles around in the box and falls to Ismail Assar on the edge. He puts the ball where it's deflected wide and it's out for a corner kick. Thiago Gaucho in an outswinging delivery. That's a pretty poor one. Let's go and see the other reunion. Look who else it is, another central midfielder. Christian Rivera, who we had at Newcastle. The player who was there at the start of our tenure. Our director of football did sell him on and he is getting a bit older now and he's starting to decline physically, but he was a really good player for us at Newcastle, and I'm glad to see 2 players we recognise here. Who would have thought at this stage, as a journeyman in our 12th season, that we're seeing loads of players over in Italy who we've managed at different levels in England? It just shows how well we've done, and how well these boys have done too. 15 minutes to go, we'll think about changes in a moment, but I don't want to change too much too early when we're playing this well in the cup final. Just 5 minutes to go. I think it is time for a change now. Gerardo's not had the best game in the world. He's someone we can think about replacing. I'm going to bring him on Bernard Martin, another player we had at Newcastle. He's going to get a chance to wow on the big occasion, something I'm sure he'd like to do. We're going to take Claudio Gomez off as well. Saavedra, the club captain, will come on for him. 5 minutes left and we just want to shore things up. Make sure we don't give away anything silly. We also want to take off the right back Ivan Chan. Conrad Lima, the experienced pro. He's going to come on for him. We just want to bring experience onto the pitch and try and shore things up a little as well. For Bernard Martin, it's just fresh legs, someone who can run around up top. For the other two, it's all about experience, and let's see if it works for the 3 minutes of stoppage time. Bernard Martin holds the ball up on the left and Sarr gets it back to La Rocca. Shoots from the edge and he's hit the bar as well. Claudio Gomez in the first half and now his partner La Rocca in the second. We've got 5 seconds left and we're going to win the cup final. What a performance this has been. After so many disappointments, so many close 1-0s this season, that was a dominant display, a 2-0 win and it should have been more. We never gave Lazio a chance, and what a difference a week makes. A big competition, a big cup final, and these lads certainly delivered. We lift the trophy and the pink and grey suit gets another outing. 2 first half goals from our wingers, Ismail Assar with the first, a predatory finish, and then Marco Proyer with a brilliant solo goal. Let's go and talk to the boys and tell them how well they did. Zolo says their efforts were excellent, and we're completely in agreement with that. We're pleased with how they played, as well as the final score, and with 4 games left in the running, I certainly fancy us to get 7 points now. We've got almost everyone back from injury, and we're starting to look like a fantastic side. The Italian job will be over in 1 year, and we're going to do it in style with a domestic double. Let's go and see what the media have said about the game, and reflect on our brilliant final win. A 2-0 victory, and I got a steam achievement for cup glory as well. Remarkably, between this series and the Torquay one, it's the first time we've won the biggest domestic cup in a country. Obviously with Newcastle we won the Carabao Cup, but fell short in the final multiple times in the FA Cup. Napoli win this one 2-0 though, and I'm more pleased with the performance than the result. The lads were absolutely sensational, and they deserved to win it by more than 2. We had double the amount of shots, almost 2/3 of the possession, and we win a trophy for the club, which is what they came and signed us for. Milanic is disappointed, but he's handled himself with grace, and we wish him luck for the rest of the season. Getting Lazio into 3rd would be a great achievement. We'll deal with the press conference off camera. Thiago Gaucho's got a bonus, not something we're in control of course. We've got lots of money out of this though. 440 grand for playing in the cup final, and 4.5 million for winning the final. Nearly 5 million between the two, and the club certainly needs that in its financial position. The fans have praised us, they're delighted with the win. We were 4-1 pre-season. The Italian Cup's got a 3-star reputation, so it's probably not going to enhance our reputation as a manager, but it's certainly going to help maintain it, and that will help us get a job in Spain and Germany in the summer as we look to move on to one of the other 2 big leagues. One of my favourite footballers in the Premier League as a child, Gianfranco Zola's labelled me an outstanding manager. I couldn't ask for much more than that. The board are pleased as well, as they should be. It's the first trophy at Napoli since the league 7 years ago, and we're probably going to add that to the cabinet again too. Ismail Assar's going to get plenty of praise. He was absolutely sensational, and I'll go and do the same for Proyer off camera in a minute, as his goal was absolutely stunning. The squad get a payout of 2.3 million, so there's half of that profit gone. They certainly don't seem to be managing their budgets well, as they're giving away most of the money they're making. The Italian Cup review reflects on us winning the competition, with Juventus being the biggest underachievers, just as they have been in the league too. Courtinovis didn't get on in the final, but he has got 3 assists in the competition. That puts him at the top of the chart, another good achievement for one of our lads. We'll quickly go and look at our reputation, but I doubt it will have changed. It remains 4.5 star, and we continue to win big trophies in big European leagues. And finally, before we finish, let's go and look at the schedule for the last 4 games of the season. We need to get 7 points to guarantee the title, as Inter only have 3 games remaining, and they're still 3 points behind us as it stands. So we're at home to Atalanta, Milan and Frosinone. Atalanta are up in 8th place. They've had a really decent season, but have fallen away in recent weeks. Milan are still challenging for the Champions League. They're up in 5th place at the moment. And then Frosinone down in 19th. They need 3 wins and results to go their way if they're to stay in Serie A next season. We're then on the final day away to Empoli. They're in 11th place in mid-table, a decent season by their standards, so that'll be a tough game at the end. They've got nothing to play for, so it could go either way, but we wouldn't like to leave it that late if possible. In contrast, let's very quickly go and look at Inter's running. I just want to see who they've got in comparison. They've only got 3 games remaining. Brescia and Benevento, who are right down there, and then Fiorentina on the last day of the season. They're in 9th place in the league, in that mid-table pack with Atalanta and Empoli. But if we look at the schedule, we're going to come back for the last game of the season, away from home against Empoli, unless we can win the league the game before, in which case we'll come back for the Frosinone one. I want to see us lift the trophy, as well as have our end of season review, and then we're going to go and have a look at the job centre, for which club we might be taking over in the summer. We really want an opportunity in the other 2 big countries, and if we can wrap them up in a year or 2 as well, our career could be complete in 15 or 16 years. But a brilliant episode again, great to get our first trophy abroad. I'm delighted to win the Italian Cup final, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, please put a thumbs up on the video as always. I really do appreciate your support with the series. Let me know down in the comments if you think we'll wrap up the league and which game you think we'll do it in. You've seen both teams' run-ins, so how do you think we'll both get on? And I obviously want to move on to Spain or Germany in the summer. We'll apply for all the big jobs that become available in both leagues. If I get a choice, which one would you like to see me join? I'm interested to know your thoughts on that. I imagine, like me, it'll probably depend on which clubs we're offered, but just in principle, which league you prefer looking at. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one, The Head Coach, where we'll be looking to wrap up the title next time around when we come back on Saturday for the final episode of the season. And then our One Club series, part of the furniture with Torquay United. There's a brand new season of that one starting tomorrow, and we'll be back as usual with our transfer special in that one. There's also 3 episodes a week from Cricket 19, the official game of the Ashes. We've just completed an Ashes test playthrough, so if you did miss that one, do go back and check it out. And then this Saturday at midday, we'll be starting a brand new career mode series as we look to emulate Alistair Cook as a left-handed opener for England. We'll also be doing a bit of off-spin bowling, just to give the series some variety. So if you are a fan of other sports games, please do come and join me for that one. There's also weekly content from my Snooker 19 career every Friday at 4:30 as we continue to try and rise through the world rankings with Sean O'Sullivan, one of the rising star players in world snooker. But a massive thanks for watching this one and your continued support with the series. I hope you enjoyed seeing us win our first trophy in Italy as much as I enjoyed managing that final, and I hope to see you next time as we look to wrap up another competition, this time the big one, the Serie A title.